Okay? So when you're bending, I want you bending in pitch and practicing that. Okay? And I'm going to give you a really good way to practice how to get your bends in pitch. Get yourself, I'm sure everyone has, a tuner. Alright? If you have a chromatic tuner, even better. And attach a cable to it. A small cord or a long cord, I guess it doesn't matter. I have a small one here. Plug this directly into your guitar. Okay? Turn it on. And then try bending like a D to an E. Up a whole step. Because what will happen is, as you're bending it, you'll see the meter will register right on E when you get there. And then you could practice that. Bend it. And you'll see as you're bending it, it'll start going up. The little E will pop up. Boop, 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 boop. Uh-oh, it's too sharp. See? I bent it sharp. Let me practice that again. Zzz. Oh, it's still sharp. Let me bring it down. All right, here's my bend. Oh, there it goes. Dead on. Cool. Let me do it again. Dead on. Cool. Let me do it again. Dead on. And incorporate this into your practice routine. 10 minutes a day. Practice string bendings. Practice bending whatever. And a half step bend, maybe F sharp to G. So get on an F sharp note like I was right there. Bend that up. As you bend up, the meter's going to come on. You'll see the G. As soon as it gets in, you'll know. Bang. Bend again. Bang. Dead center. Bang. Dead center. If you're continually doing this, you're going to have to start adjusting how much pressure you're putting on it and get the feel. But plug right into the tuner and bend strings and let this tell you how accurate your string bending is, because this won't lie. Okay? And it'll get your ear trained. Remember, one of the most important things, I keep telling you this, one of the most important things you could do as a musician is develop that ear. Okay? Because I can hear it when I'm bending out of pitch. Because sometimes, you know, you'll flub a note or you'll make a mistake and it's like, I left that bend shy. God darn it. Didn't sting it. You know, it happens. But now my ear is pretty dialed in, and plus my feel is dialed in, because after a while I could feel what a half step bend feels like, what a whole step bend feels like, what a minor third bend feels like, which is bending up 3 frets or a step and a half. Okay, I like that bend. That's a nice bend, but you really gotta see? I'm bending this A up. Now, if I was to bend the A up, and I want to bend, if we're playing an A minor pentatonic, the root, the A, the next note in that scale would be the C. I'm not talking about the B note. I'm talking about just straight minor pentatonic, the root flat third. So I'm bending from the A to the C. That is 3 frets. So if a lot of times I'll see people grab this A note and they'll like give it a half step bend, and it's like you're bending it to the B flat. What is that? Unless you're in like the Phrygian mode or something that has a flat 2, that's really not going to do anything. If you really want to make a statement, bend that A to the C, okay? Bend that minor third. That's a hard bend because you got to get it all the way up there. You're bending not just a half step or a whole step, 1.5 steps or 3 frets, okay? And that's when, see, I'm really pushing it up there, and then I'll check it. So you want to check it to make sure you hit it. I can hit it almost every time because, again, I've been playing a while. It's going to take you a while to get that down, but it's so critical for your bends to be in pitch. One of the most important things, because you're going to be bending strings all the time. So practice those little half step bends first, or if you know a major scale, right? Let's take a major scale. Whatever, let's take this G major scale. Okay? Half steps all over the place. I love playing in the modes, because the modes, and I know if you don't know a lot about this yet, you will, but the modes are just variations of the major scale. And the major scale is a 7-note scale as opposed to your pentatonics, which are 5-note scales. So in a lot of these major scales and scale variations, the modes, you're playing 3 notes per string and you're going to have lots of half steps. I totally exploit those half steps all the time because I think half step bends are very melodic. So if you know this G major scale, if you don't, go to my lessons on major scales in the intermediate section, right? And it looks like this. This is the number 2 scale with your root, first finger on the root. Just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, na, 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 na. Okay? So now, look with this. I got this pattern here. Let me get in a little closer. When I'm on this high E string, I could play. So look at all these half step bends. Okay, so you could take anywhere you have that half step. See, because I could bend, like here I'm bending from that B to the C, right? Now I have this half step bend on the next string, the B string, I have the F sharp to the G. Now if I go down the scale, here's another half step right here. From the B to the C again. So I'll bend that. I love those bend. Now that's an instance where I will bend with the first finger, but only if it's a half step bend, because a half step bend, you don't have to bend as far as like a whole, I won't bend a whole step with the first finger because it's really hard with one finger to have enough strength to push it up a whole step, okay? I use really, really thick strings too. I use 11s to 52s. I like that really thick, meaty tone. So if you use thick strings, it's even harder to bend strings because you're bending a thicker string. So it's going to be a little trickier. A little bit more strength is needed. But I'll bend those with one finger all day long on the one finger bends, like on these majors. See how I'm bending? So you got to practice bending it and then check it to make sure you hit that bend. So practice those. Just go right down the scale and then bend it each time. Check it. Make sure you're bending it properly. So those half step bends I really, really like. And you can throw them into your playing all the time. Like if I'm playing over, you know, in G major, which is, you know, I'll be doing those bends all the time. See, I did there as I did a bend, you know, 4 or 5 times in a row, which I'll show you in the coming modules, all the different types of bends, but I just wanted to give you a little introduction to get you thinking about string bending. And if you're going to do it, you have to be doing it in pitch. You have to be thinking of what your target note is, okay? So go to the module like on minor pentatonic, and where I'm showing you all the hip bends in that scale, and you can start working on those, okay? So remember, I want you to start practicing, just pick and know what key you're in. Always, when you're playing or noodling, just always know what key you're playing in. Don't just be indiscriminately playing, because knowing what key you're in is great, because then it'll start, the ideas will start to come, and then when you're jamming in those keys, you'll have your riff ideas, you'll have everything down. I'm a big fan of that, always knowing where you're at on the fretboard, always knowing what key you're in, okay? So just take that, even if it's just that A minor pentatonic, whatever, and just practice those half steps. And half steps are good to start with because they don't take as much strength as the whole step. So practice it there and then practice it with a major scale. And work on those half step bends and getting them in pitch. Now it's going to take a while. And I want you to use the tuner and plug right into that, okay? And really start working with that tuner on bending in pitch. So I will see you in the next module. Practice those bends and get ready to rock. Yeah! Take care.